My name is Alexa Berinda. That's A-L-E-X-A. Berinda is B as in boy, U-R-I-N-D-A.
All right. What would you like to tell me?
Let's see. So I am the eldest daughter of Sergeant Joe Berinda. 908 days ago, my family's worst fear came true. The night my dad and Officer Iden were shot, I couldn't fall asleep. Something just felt so incredibly wrong, but I didn't know what. Hours I laid there awake, my stomach turning. My dad had tried to convince me for years to turn my phone on airplane mode when I sleep at night. I never did. What he didn't realize is I was always waiting for that phone call that I received that night. When my phone rang, all I felt was dread. My body knew long before I did that something was wrong. My mom told me my dad had been shot, and my heart stopped. The line then dropped dead, and that was the longest minute of my life. The all-encompassing terror I felt, the not knowing, the flood of thoughts running through my head. Was he alive? Where was he being taken? Would I see him again? I remember just squeezing my now fiance's leg so hard that he jolted awake. He too knew something was wrong before I even said anything. He held my hand as I frantically tried calling my mom back. I could not get through. When she called back, she told me he was okay, but he was shot in the shoulder, and that Ben had been shot in the face, but he was okay too. Sergeant DeBaker was thankfully with them both on scene. I did not sleep that night. I waited and waited until I could talk to my dad, hear his voice. A text was not enough. Needed to know he was real, that he was still here, and he is. But 6 inches is the difference between my dad being alive or dead today. 6 inches and that bullet would have hit his heart. 6 inches and Mr. Suarez would be a cop killer. 6 inches and he would not be here to walk me down the aisle in 2 months. He wouldn't be here to meet my future kids, to teach them how to swing a bat and play catch with them. He wouldn't be here to walk me through life when I just need my dad. He could have missed it all. Officer Iden could have missed his son's first words, first days of kindergarten, middle school, high school, and all of the accomplishments in between. Those few inches in my family's world and Ben's family's world would have come crashing down. The next few days after the shooting were a blur, because he was okay, right? Everything was fine. But it wasn't. It took 2 days before it hit me. I was at work when a coworker had mentioned an officer had been killed in Milwaukee. I don't really remember going to the bathroom, but I do remember falling to the ground and losing it. I sobbed on the floor for only God knows how long. All I could think about was that it had finally happened. The day my family was waiting for, but hoped would never come, had happened. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think past the thought that I could have lost my dad. My mom could have lost her husband. My sisters and my brother could have lost their dad too. Officer Iden's wife and unborn son could have lost him. Sergeant DeBaker could have lost his friends and his own life. Nothing was okay. Spent the next 2 days at home trying to process, trying to come to terms with it. But how do you come to terms with something like that? You don't. Those 2 days were filled with anger, sorrow, and more fear. Anger at my dad, anger at the world, at God, and most importantly, the man waiting for sentencing today. Then, over the next few months, I watched as my dad battled his own demons. I watched as every time I came home, he lost more and more weight, as he slowly admitted that he was struggling with PTSD. He buried himself in any work he could. The man I thought was impenetrable was struggling, and that scared the shit out of me. My heart broke 1,000 times over the last 2 years, but that hurt the most. The man who has always held us up, always been our strength, now needed us to hold him up, and we always will. The fear I felt will never leave my heart. I can no longer hear about other officers being harmed or killed without falling apart, without remembering that night or remembering what I could have lost. I will never make the mistake of hanging up the phone without saying be safe, without saying I love you, because he almost didn't come home. And I almost didn't get to say one more I love you and one more goodbye. I cannot put into words the damage the man a few feet from me has done to me and my family and the RPD family. It is simply beyond my grasp. is beyond any words I could possibly say. I still cry when I think about it, and I still cry when my mom tells me my dad had another panic attack. Sometimes my anxiety is so great I struggle to hang up the phone with him when he's at work. He has never known that, but sometimes I think if I just keep him here a second longer, he won't find himself in that situation again. Stupid, I know. Stupid because he is the first man I would want on scene to help someone, and stupid because a phone call couldn't stop him from calling. The hardest part is knowing he will always answer the call, and I am so incredibly proud of him and each and every officer who steps into this community every day, waiting and wanting to help. Even 2.5 years later, as I sat writing this, I could not stop the tears. Nothing on earth could ever make this right. The only comfort I can hope for is Mr. Suarez never being able to step outside as a free man, to never be able to have control over his own life, and maybe someday, long after this day, that'll be enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next will be Danika.
My name is Danika. That's Danika, and then B as in boy, Urinda.
Who would you like to tell?
I'm the youngest daughter and child of Sergeant Joe Barinda, one of the officers wounded on January 17th and 18th, 2023. I didn't need to look up that date or ask anyone before I wrote it down. It is seared into my brain and will be until the day I die. I hate how vividly I remember it. I hate how prepared I was for it. And I hate most of all how it made my dad feel when I told him that I was waiting for it. I didn't realize the impact of that statement. From the moment he got the job and I was old enough to understand, I started picturing different ways that we would get the call. Was I in school, at practice, church, in the middle of the night? I prepared myself because for some ungodly reason, people feel the need to point their guns at the ones trying to protect everyone else. Kids whose parents are accountants don't have to fear that one day their parents won't come home, but I do. I was just hoping that somebody wouldn't be mean and heartless enough to attempt to not only take my father from the world and from his 4 children, but a newly married and soon-to-be father from this world. Every time that I said I was waiting for it, I saw my dad break down a little bit more. He never wanted us to fear this moment, but it arrived nonetheless. And I hate it. I hate that I was woken up at 4:50 in the morning to my mom telling me that she had just gotten home from the hospital. I hate that I was so in shock that I got up and went to school just over an hour later. I hate that it took until 7th period for someone to ask if I was okay. I hate that I never cried. I hate how I accepted it when I was 8 years old. I hate that he opened fire on the biggest supporter in my life, the one I look up to the most, the one whose footsteps I want to follow in. I hate that he's scared of me following in his footsteps. I hate that I could be shot in my career path too, and I hate that my dream job scares him. I hate that it scares me, because people like Daniel exist. I hate that my dad won't live forever, and I hate that Daniel tried to take it from him before any of us were ready. I hate that there wasn't a reason. How can you shoot at people for no reason? How can you fire a gun when your children are around? I understand why people can hate cops. Some of them can be bad people. But Sergeant DeBaker, Officer Iden, and my father are some of the best men that I've had the opportunity to get to know. All they were trying to do that night was save the lives of a mother and her children. I know for a fact that none of them wanted to fire their weapons, but their hands were forced. I haven't yet found the reason for why Daniel is still alive today. My dad explained to all of us that the wall that hit Mr. Suarez, or that he was hiding behind, was littered with bullets. All of them would have hit him directly. There was a bullet lodged in the buttstock of his gun. He surrendered just as SWAT arrived on scene. He cheated death in so many ways. I've asked God for the reason why he walked away unscathed. And I finally think I know why. For today, for justice, for my dad, for me. And I don't hate the idea of that. No worthy human being would try to take my dad away from me. And so I ask that today he gets put away for as long as his charges will allow.